mentor, and having him along with that. And you have guys like Gusev, and you have kids in the minors like Malzev and Sharon Govich who speak Russian. And then you have Muhammad Dulin coming in years down the road, maybe 3-4 years. Who knows? You got someone that is bilingual, speaking Russian and English. And so you're able to translate and help these kids assimilate. And sometimes they become men who become better performers on the ice. And, you also have Patrick Eliash over in Czechia, who's doing a little bit of scouting along with that assistant coaching at the higher national level for the Czech national team, and having insight on guys like Jaromir Pitlick does a lot to help a franchise, and having people with such close ties to the organization really benefit the team near and long term, growing together. So if you add Breland as an assistant coach, working with the forwards, and, have the other guy do a little bit less on the forward stuff and work on the defense, I think would be more beneficial now than ever.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I think Sergei Breland deserves a shot. So Andreas, last night, obviously we made a trade with the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Was that last night or Saturday night? I don't even know anymore. Saturday night, right?
Saturday.
Yeah.
I had to do an article on it.
Recording this on Monday, if anybody didn't realize that already.
So Andreas Janssen for Joey Anderson. So what were your guys' initial thoughts? Alex, you've been sitting there. You look like you're starting to doze off and fall asleep.
No, I'm good. It's what time is it? It's only 8:00. I'm good. I'm focused.
It's only 8:07. We haven't gotten to the crazy trade moves yet.
Yeah. So I guess Andreas Johnson, I like him a lot. He's not like a standout like two-way forward. Offense is really his thing. But that's what the Devils are getting. That's what they brought him in for, is to score goals and put up points. They're not asking him to go out there and kill penalties. I mean, I guess they could, but that's really not what the main reason they brought him in. He's a really efficient scorer at 5-on-5 since coming into the NHL. He became a full-time NHLer in 2018-19. And since then, he's averaged 2.1 points per 60 minutes at 5-on-5, which is it's close to the top 50 in the league with forwards with 1,000 minutes played at 5-on-5. He's averaged 45 points per 82 games. So the offense is definitely there. I think they'll have, like I said in the beginning of the podcast, they'll have options where to play him in the lineup because he can play left or right wing. So that's always good. For me, he's probably a second line forward. At best, I don't think he could play on the top line because I just don't think he has the two-way game, but you never know. You have to try things. But I can see him on the second line with like Jack Hughes and Kyle Palmieri or something like that. Or you put Jesper Bratt down left wing there and you flip Johnson to the right wing with Jack Hughes. I mean, there's going to be a lot of options, and he's definitely going to bring an offensive lift to the team that they were looking for. He's not going to turn them into the highest scoring team in the league, but their offense should definitely be a lot better with him on the roster.
About earlier, when I was talking about players on a certain line with foot speed, I find that Andreas Jansson's speed, his foot speed, along with Jack Hughes' foot speed, perfectly matched, kind of like how he matched the foot speed of Austin Matthews, which is a perfect sample size for me watching the highlights. And you can just see how he's effortless, like gliding through his own zone and getting up the neutral zone from 0 to 60 in that amount of Mach. And to me, when I saw him blocking a shot and taking up that lane, just like closing his own 5-hole on a shooter, and then he turns it into a nice little breakaway, and he also finds really good ways to evade defenders and get open and sneak in and do little tap-ins. But he also has really silky mitts. I mean, he may not be a goal scorer, but he's the guy that will backhand, forehand a goaltender out of his pants. But I can see him playing with Jack Hughes.
Yeah, I think that's a good point you made about foot speed. That was a little bit of an issue with not Hughes himself, but with his line mates last season. He was playing a lot with guys like Pavel Zacha and Wayne Simmons and who I'm blanking out here, Miles Wood. So when he did play with those guys, he didn't get the best results, but it's not really his fault because it's just not, those aren't wingers who are kind of complement his makeup as a player. So Johnson is definitely that. And you put him on a line with defensively responsible winger like Kyle Palmieri, and I guess it can negate a little bit of the defensive issues you might have pairing Johnson and Hughes together. But yeah, it's a good point about the foot speed. I think that's why he's a good fit with Hughes, because he matches his kind of style. He's a skilled winger.
This was definitely a guy that was rumored to be moved, not just for the Devils, but just rumored to be moved
in general.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that probably there were multiple teams that were interested in this kid. And you knew that once the Maple Leafs made that move, if you guys remember when they traded Kasperi Kapanen back to the Pittsburgh Penguins, you knew that they were going to have to make a bunch of more moves to really satisfy, getting cap space and making moves. So Andreas Johnsson was going to have to be somebody that, I'm sure the Maple Leafs didn't want to give up, but they had no choice, considering the money that he's making and the fact that they have to clear cap space. And the fact that they only had to give up, talking from the Devils standpoint, the fact that they only had to give up Joey Anderson, a player of, and I say this with the utmost respect because I was actually a pretty big fan of Joey Anderson, a guy that really didn't fit in with what the Devils were doing. I think that when he was given the opportunity, there were times where he would step up and he would be in the play and you would notice him. And other times he would just disappear for 30 minutes. Like you wouldn't even know that he was still on the bench. And I'm saying that with, again, the fact that it wasn't fully his fault, considering the situation that he was put into, considering the situation a lot of these young players on this team the last couple of years have been put into.
It's all about the coaching and being managed with the guys who are on your line. And there was a lot of dysfunction.
Right. And so the Devils get a guy like Mango, and he's I know. We have
the smoothie.
I love it.
Yeah.
We have Crow. We have a Crow. We have a Goose. We have a Mango. I don't know what else we have.
Crow.
He mentioned that.
I get Crow first.
You got that in.
But we get a young player that he even said, Johnsson was talking with Amanda Stein earlier today that, he didn't like the way the season went for him because he had an injury and because, his production was not where he wanted it to be. So this is a motivated player that now is going to be playing with a young team. And a lot of people want to give him crap because they said, oh, look at who he was playing with when he was doing all the things he was doing. He was playing with Tavares, playing with Matthews, playing with Marner, guys like that. And he's gonna have a lot to prove, and I think that he's gonna fit in seamlessly with this team. Otherwise, and look, even if it doesn't work out, let's be honest, the Devils didn't really give up anything for him. Joey Anderson,
reward for him.
Is Joey Anderson gonna be on the Maple Leafs roster in the first, fourth line maybe? But most likely he's gonna end up being with the Marlies. But nonetheless, I think this was a move that is gonna benefit the Devils wholeheartedly. And I think he's, whether he plays on the first line or not, which I don't think he will, I think that first line is for probably Bratt, considering. But Johnsson could just, he could go on a tear early on in the season and he might get bumped up. We have to just remember with all of these guys, not just the new guys, but the guys that we still have, how are they going to mesh with Lindy Ruff once training camp starts, whenever that is, and how they look? Because I don't even think we're going to have preseason. I honestly think we're just going to jump right into it.
No, there's going to be a preseason, I think, but
I would say 2 games at the.
Yeah, I don't know how long it's going to be, but I think they had said recently that training camp they were planning on starting it like November 15th or something like that. So, and if there's targeting a January 1st for the regular season, then there's probably going to be some preseason action because you can't just jump into it if you're a team like the Devils who would have gone like a year without playing almost. So
you can't do what the National Football League did. You can't do that.
Yeah.
Because you're asking for a lot of players to get hurt very early on in the season. But
Yeah.
bottom line is that I like this move. I've liked basically every move that Fitzgerald has made because it's made with what he's been talking about and what he's trying to build this team around. He's been bluntly honest with where we are. And really the expectation for Devils fans, and I'm just speaking with not just you guys, but everybody that's listening, is simply that don't have an expectation that this team is going to do a 180 and all of a sudden we're going to be back in the playoffs. We're probably going to be more competitive. We might lose a lot more games by one goal. We might lose a lot of close games, but we're going to probably be competitive in a lot of the games that we play. And we're going to be a tough team we're not just going to be a pushover team. I think we're going to end up being a middle of the pack team, but we're going to show a lot of good flashes of young, exciting hockey, and bringing in an offensive veteran head coach like Lindy Ruff, who has proven time and time again he can develop players into goal-scoring machines. Look what he did with Tyler Seguin and Jamie Benn. He helped elevate their game. Maybe, it's harder to say that considering how they did in the postseason this year, but he elevated their game. One of you guys brought up Daniel Briere. I think it was you, Joe, that brought that up.
Yeah, Jake.
Right. Daniel Briere. And yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. And he took the Buffalo Sabres to the Stanley Cup, and I've said, who else has been able to do that since or gotten close? So, I mean, this is my point. He's an offensive guy that was an assistant coach on the Rangers that was asked to focus on defense. That was not even close to what he was known to do. He was put into a situation that he couldn't win. So I'm optimistic in saying we have to give these guys an opportunity. So far, Fitzgerald has done a lot of good, very little to no bad at all. There were a little bit of question marks with some of the draft picks, but that's going to come every year, no matter who you take. But it's all about the development of those players. And I think the moves that Fitzgerald made have shown that Fitzgerald wants to be competitive now and be ultra competitive in the future.
I'll throw this in there. So you have Bratt, you have Janssen, you also have Boqvist, and you're going to have a trio of Swedes motivated.
I forgot we had Boqvist. I really feel bad that and did he have? I think he had what?
Don't worry about that.
He has like 5. He has 5 points in like 2 games. The last like 2 games he's been playing, and apparently he's been on a tear from what I'm hearing.
Oh yeah, in the Allsvenskan.
Yeah, I heard he's been dominating whatever league.
Yeah, usually under 20 players usually play under the SHL,
right?
In the Allsvenskan, and it's the same way with Arseny Gritsuk, who's playing in the MHL. For anyone who's wondering what the hell I'm talking about, MHL is for the under 20 players, like where Askarov came from. And so if you're not in the KHL at the big league.
Is that like the minor leagues for the SHL? Is that basically what that is?
It's basically the tier below, if I can remember that properly.
That makes sense.
Usually that's where like Gunler came up from. That's where, if I can remember, if Holtz came up from before they hit the SHL and Raymond.
Okay.
So,
I mean, that's, look, we have a lot of young players in our system, not just who are, going to be playing in the NHL next year, but guys that are going to be given, a lot of good opportunities in the next 2 to 3 years. And we have some guys that I think could step up that we don't even have expectations for. Like, Mohamed Doulin, we don't, for all we know, he could be a star defenseman. And we just got one of the best, moves that, this franchise has ever made. It still was a surprise. And I think everybody here would agree that he was not on on any of our radars at pick 20.
Yeah.
You can look back to Joe's spreadsheet, and I'm pretty sure Mohamed Doulin was not.
No. Mohamed Doulin, I had to put in after pick 20 was made to be openly blunt and honest. No one got that pick right on the 7 guys. No.
No, we were not close. But
nonetheless. We did nonetheless have one guy predict having what was that pick? God damn. It was having, I think, one guy got Askarov right at 11.
Oh. I think I said that. I think I said Askarov. I don't remember. But nonetheless, I would say this, guys. Fitzgerald knows what he's doing. He's prepared for this opportunity for a long time. You know, he worked under Ray Shero